I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Hi, everybody. Ron here from The Truth About Addiction. Welcome to another podcast, and I have a special guest here, a lady from England. I forget what part of England you're from, Claire. So it's Claire Hatwell.
Well, yeah,
I know Claire's an author,
I am.
which I am also, and I'm registering to publish this next month. My first
Brilliant.
book, which is quite scary because I've had it written since 2007. Haven't published, but yeah, we're publishing a couple of books this year. So, I know
Brilliant.
it's an experience, and it's very confronting, and it's very rewarding, I believe. Like
It is.
Claire, please tell us the Claire Hatwell story and where you're from, what your poison was,
Okay.
how you got off whatever you chose. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I am your average middle of the road mum. I've been married since I was 19. Got 4 kids. I have a house. I have a husband. I have a lovely life from the outside, from the inside too. But anybody looking at me would have seen what I wanted them to. What they didn't see was I struggled very much with anxiety. I still do. And I had a very stressful job, very confronting job. And the way I used to relax was coming home and having a glass of wine, because everybody does it. It's fine. Mummy wine time. We're told to. It's so ingrained in our culture over here in the UK. Every celebration and everything is just, basically go and drink. So yeah, I didn't realize it was a problem for a long time, but I suppose the difficulty is if you drink 1 glass of wine a night, gradually it becomes 2 and then 3. And I probably realized I had a problem when I was drinking 3 bottles of white wine by myself every single night. And I couldn't have a day off. I couldn't imagine not having a drink that night. And I began to fall into a battle with myself where I would wake up in the morning and the first thought, I didn't drink in the day, that's the thing. So I always thought I was okay because real alcoholics drink in the day, don't they? And I didn't. So I was okay. So I would wake up in the morning and I would think, right, tonight I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do it. It'll be fine. And my resolve would hold until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'd come home from work and I'd have the kids running around and I'd sort everything out. I'd make sure I didn't need to drive. I didn't need to go out. And then I'd open the glass because I deserved one. But my problem was the minute I had opened the bottle, I couldn't stop. So I would stress out if there wasn't enough wine in the house, if I couldn't get to it, I would make excuses. I would frequent many different shops because I didn't want people to know how much I was drinking. And I stopped putting my recycling out because that's a lot of wine bottles to put out. So I'd take it to the dump and recycle it myself under the pretense that the kids enjoyed doing that. But, the excuses we make. And I carried on because, like I said, on the outside, no one knew. And while it was like that, it was okay. I didn't want to let anyone know because I was terrified. I couldn't understand what a life without wine would look like. And at this point, I was beginning to hate myself because I hated the control wine had over me. I hated the amount I drank, but I couldn't see how to stop it. So I just carried on, head in the sand, doing what I knew how to do. And for me, the only way I could relax, the only way I could turn off this current, always bubbling anxiety was to drink. And I still didn't drink in the day except for the odd, roast dinner on a Sunday and things that were socially acceptable. So it just seemed okay. I started to get quite ill. Beyond the mental health, anxiety stuff, I lost a lot of weight. I couldn't see it at the time. Most women, when they lose weight, they're grateful. But when I look back, my head actually looked too big for my body. My arms were like little sticks. And a lot of people say when they stop drinking, they lose weight. I didn't. I put it on, but actually, I'm healthy now, so that's a good thing. But yeah, so I was losing a lot of weight. I couldn't eat. Basically, was just drinking all the time, and it was the only thing towards the end that I could do. And in the end, I had to do something. So I spoke to my husband, who was really grateful, because every time he tried to broach it with me, I'd bitten his head off, because you can't be told, can you? Especially when you know, and the last thing you want to do is be told what you already know and you haven't got a solution for it. So he was really grateful, and he's been amazingly supportive the whole way through. But equally, nobody can fix it but us. So I tried a lot of things. I tried to stop several times. My record was 3 days, by which time I decided, yes, I was fixed. I was no longer an alcoholic and I can drink again. I can't moderate. For me, there's no such thing as moderation. So my 3 days of being fixed, yeah, I was straight back where I was, probably worse again. But I did notice in those 3 days, I was a bit healthier. So I suppose in the months that followed that, I was suddenly thinking, there is something in this. I suffered a lot of migraines and I would get very confused. I remember being at some traffic lights one day and I was looking at the colours and I couldn't think what they meant. And I ended up having to go to the doctor because they're blinding migraines. And they said, I don't want to worry you, but you might be at risk of having a stroke here. If your blood pressure isn't down, we're going to phone an ambulance. And do you drink? And I was like, yeah, a little bit, because nobody's going to say, oh yeah, I drink 20 bottles of wine by myself every week. Nobody's going to do that. So, well, I certainly wouldn't. So that was a bit of another wake up call of me thinking I really do need to do something. In the end, I phoned. We had a charity over here. It doesn't exist and it's been taken over, but they were called Ad Action, and I had a leaflet in my bag for probably a year before I phoned them. And they listened to everything I had to say, and they put me on a waiting list for about 6 months because they had no help. And by the time I got help, I was drinking again. And I eventually got to see this counsellor who I didn't really get on with. I mean, it was kind of nice to speak to somebody, but he didn't have the same experiences as me and he didn't understand mine. He put me in a group with some other people. And they all kind of looked at me and said, oh, what are you doing here? You look fine. Yeah, I've perfected the looking fine. It's just the inside bit is not so fine. And it was only through going through that group that one of the guys in there, who was actually a drug addict, told me I could go to the doctor and they could prescribe stuff to help. And I'd never thought about going to the doctor because I didn't think addiction was something you could seek medical help for. Isn't it funny, the things you think? I thought they'd just tell me off and they'd tell me to pull myself together, because largely that's what I've been getting from people like my mum and dad, who wanted to be supportive, but like, oh, just stop. And I can't stop. If I could have stopped, I would have done. So I went to the doctor and they told me not to stop because I was drinking so much. It was dangerous. And to begin to wean it down. And I think from memory, it was about a glass a week I had to cut down by. That was probably the worst time of my life because I had to control it. And at this point, I really didn't want to drink anymore. I smashed a lot of wine glasses in those weeks because I was pouring the drink I wanted, but I hated it. And I was getting really angry. But they also prescribed me antabuse, which it didn't fix anything, but what it did was give me the control back, because by the time I'd weaned down enough to start taking that, if I took that in the morning, it helped me reinforce my decision not to drink at night. And it sort of, like I said, it didn't fix it for me, but it just gave me something to do that felt I was being proactive. And yeah, it was a really hard old time for me. My first sober day is the 8th of September 2016. Okay. Haven't had a drink since. Will never have a drink. Don't want to. Not ever again. I couldn't go through it again, to be honest.
Yeah.
And there are times when not so much now, but I used to get like wine glass envy. And I'd drive past a beer garden and I'd see people and I'd be like, oh, look, why can they do it and I can't? And now I know I can do it. I choose not to. And my experience of that would not be theirs, because I wouldn't have one and sit there enjoying it. I'd be like, right, where's the rest of the bottle? Where's the next bottle? Where's the bottle after that? And yeah, I don't want to live like that anymore, rushing through life to get to a bottle, because that's how it was. When I look back, and it makes me really sad to think I was like that. It makes me even sadder to think that nobody, other than the people I told, not many people knew. And even now, when I tell people, we went to a party the other weekend, and people are like, oh, do you want a drink? I'm like, I don't drink, thank you. Oh, we're so proud of you. Why not? Why not? And they couldn't understand I'm an alcoholic. I don't drink because I'll black out. And that's the other thing. See, I was blacking out every night towards the end of my drinking, which really, really screwed with my mental health, because I was already anxious and I was already worried. And then I'd be waking up in the morning playing detective of, what did I do? What did I say? Oh, hang on, I watched this film with my husband and the kids and I can't remember the end. Now I've got to pretend I know. Oh, it's awful, awful. So yeah, I don't ever want to go back to that again.
Yeah. It's just when you're saying, you know, like, it's so sad that we feel like we have to justify why we don't drink.
Really do.
Society's so entrenched in England and Australia.
Yeah.
You know, when I've traveled the world in recovery, people have said to me, you can't be an Aussie. You don't drink? You don't drink beer? I say,
Yeah.
they say, what, can't you drink? I say, I can drink. But after I've had sex with your wife and beaten you up and don't remember, what do you want me to do then? They go, oh, okay, don't have a drink. You know what I mean? Because I was a blackout drinker.
Yeah,
I
same
was
as
one
me.
of those people that got violent in drinking.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't, but yeah.
A lot of people don't understand the ferociousness of alcoholism.
No.
It's ferocious, that one's too many and a million's never enough.
That's exactly me.
I never had one of anything. And I didn't drink for the taste. I drank for the effect.
Yeah.
So many times, I laugh when you said about the movies. So many times I went to the drive-in as a young boy with the girlfriend, and the drive-in lights are on, all the cars are gone. There's a guy knocking on the window. Sir, you have to go home now. And I've stood at the speaker sitting inside the window. I've fallen asleep in the car with my girlfriend. We drank a couple of bottles of wine and felt, and people don't understand. I started taking heroin to get off alcohol. I was more manageable on heroin than I was on alcohol.
Yeah.
Sounds insane, doesn't it?
No, I think they say, don't they, it's more addictive than cocaine. It's more trouble than and yet they're illegal.
Yeah.
And over here, like you say, you have to explain. You're the one that's a bit strange for not doing it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. But I don't know how we change that. I'm really open with my kids, because like at the beginning, I thought I'd failed them. I thought, what sort of wife and mum? I've got 4 kids. My oldest will be 22 in August. My next one is 20 and an 18-year-old, and my littlest is 6. So
cool.
The little one, he doesn't know, but he knows I don't drink, but it's not something we'd talk about. Whereas the other 3, they're very aware, because they were there, they saw, they remember. And I thought, God, I've let them down. I've failed. But actually, in hindsight, what I've done is show them that it can happen to anybody. And what you need to do is like deal with it and move on. And it's hard. And some days I have, more so now because my anxiety is a bit more unpredictable. And I find going out like social settings like the party I went to the other day, I find that quite hard work. Before I would have drunk before it, I would have drunk during it, and I would have drunk after it. So I didn't have a chance to feel anything. And now I'm feeling like all the things.
Yeah.
It is hard, but actually I would much prefer to be on this side and have a challenging feeling than not know what I've done.
Yeah.
Not remember.
The price of regret's massive.
Yeah.
Waking up the next day regretting, because I've had relapse in recovery.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, I got clean in 1981.
Wow. Okay.
A couple of months ago now, and I'd been clean for 10 months. And because I was a heroin addict and I hadn't drank alcohol for many, many years, what can a couple of beers do?
Oh, yeah, of course.
What the
Yeah.
hell? You know, like, come on, don't be stupid. And I'd been in a rehab for 10 months. And I had 2 bottles of beer, a couple of pills, which I don't take pills, but I took a couple of pills, so I wanted something stronger.
Yeah.
Stole a car, went to do an armed robbery, crashed the car. The police came. I stole the police car.
Oh.
This is in 1982. That was the last time I drank alcohol.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's the story to go out with on a bang, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm allergic to alcohol. I break out in handcuffs every time I drink it.
Yeah.
And people just don't understand. They go, but alcohol's legal. It's socially acceptable. From my personal experience, because I've been working in drug and alcohol now since 1982. I started my own recovery in 81. Then I worked in a rehab. Then I relapsed and stayed clean. I relapsed and I got clean again in 1986, the 3rd of March, 1986. I've been clean ever since then, which is 37 years.
Amazing. Well done.
Thank you. But it's because of this incredible gift I've been given. I've been given a gift of desperation.
Yeah.
I will not put a drug in my body, no matter what.
Yeah.
I'd rather blow my brains off.
Yeah.
Than to go back to active alcoholism and drinking and drugging.
Yeah. I completely agree. It's sad that we have to explain it, because I said at this party the other day, they were an older couple that I was talking to, and they were lovely, and they weren't trying to make me drink. They were just trying to understand, and they kept sort of saying, well, when you get to my age, you don't want a hangover. And it's like, trust me, I didn't have a hangover because I drank so much. I was so used to it. I blacked out. I was a little bit fuzzy in the morning.
Get sober to get a hangover.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to get the blood alcohol down enough to get the hangover.
Yeah, and I wasn't like that. And they sort of they were baffled by it. They just couldn't understand. And
it's like you trying to explain childbirth to me.
Yeah,
I'm never going to understand it. Even though I've watched it. I have beautiful children. I've watched childbirth. I've seen the beautiful creation, but I cannot understand it, and I can never ever experience it. So I can't relate to it.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good way of explaining it.
No, I don't teach people about childbirth. I teach recovery. Why do I teach recovery? Because I'm recovering.
Yeah.
How can I teach you to recover? Well, I can tell you what I did and what happened for me.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I didn't do and what happened for me. And I can tell you the things that I did that I shouldn't have done and what happened to me. Because I don't believe there's any mistakes in recovery.
No, I feel the same. We have to learn from everything we do. Because actually the things that work sometimes for us might not work every time. The things that work for other people might not work. But actually it's all a learning curve. And I had so many wobbles and days where I thought, that's it, I'm fixed. And I don't know, 4 or 5 proper goes at stopping drinking. But I kind of think of them as practices. If I hadn't done them, I wouldn't be where I am now, and I wouldn't be so solid in it.
I do. I believe they're lessons. They're lessons.
Yeah.
If Albert Einstein says some 12-step fellowships, I don't know if you went to 12-step fellowship or not. Some 12-step fellowships talk about, making the same mistake and expecting different results is insanity. And it is true, but Albert Einstein said that, not some 12-step fellowship. The 12-step fellowship takes the glory, and they say it in their literature. But Albert Einstein said that, and it's common sense. Recovery is common sense.
Yeah.
If I said to you, you're allergic to sugar, every time you take sugar, your life becomes unmanageable. You become a shitty mum. You become disconnected from your loved ones. And you stop performing to the best of your ability, you go off, I'm not having sugar.
Yeah.
But we say, okay, you're an alcoholic, and if you drink this, you become a shitty mum, you become disconnected from your family, you go off, can't be the alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
You must be wrong. Because we've been indoctrinated with that bullshit.
And it is everywhere. And my son had a really, I'm very open with them, but it was Father's Day here I don't know whether it's the same in Australia, but a couple of weeks ago, and he turned around to me, he said, it would be so much easier if you and Dad drank. And I said, why? He said, because everything in the supermarkets and everything that's easy to buy is alcohol. Everything that is just like you can go. And I thought it's really sad. Like, I mean, it's great that he's noticed it, but it's really sad that that's what they're pushing on kids. Go and buy your dad a beer so he can get pissed and not remember Father's Day. And what is that telling kids? You know, here's the story from when you're little: buy alcohol for a present, everybody wants to get drunk. And I just think it's wrong. And you know, the king's coronation, the supermarkets were stacked. It was wall to wall alcohol. Celebrate, get pissed. And yeah, it's like
But
the
do we
world
know
cannot
why?
Well, because it makes money.
Exactly. The taxes on alcohol is massive.
Yeah.
And who do you think makes all the donations to the political parties? The alcohol companies.
Yes, I have heard that.
Alcohol and cigarettes are the biggest killers. You know, they kill more people than anything else.
Yeah.
The reason they started putting signs on cigarettes is not because they care about our lives. It's because the medical bills are so high with cancer and tobacco-related sicknesses that they've thought, stuff this, we're going to have to get rid of this because it's costing us too much.
Yeah.
Now they're talking about doing it to alcohol, putting warning labels on the alcohol.
Yeah.
It's not going to change anything.
Oh no, because it used to say on a bottle of wine, it would say like your units. And I used to look at that and think, I drink in a day more than I should drink a week.
Yeah.
And I'd still drink it.
Yeah. Well, heroin was
say,
illegal and I still used it.
Sorry?
I said heroin was illegal and I took the I took the chance of buying something off somebody on the streets who we didn't even know what it was, putting in the syringe and then putting it intravenously into my body. What, you think putting a sign's going to stop me?
Yeah, exactly. And then they say they'll tax us more and they'll put the cost up, and that was no, it won't, because if you want it that badly, you'll go without something else.
Make our children go without clothes and food. And that's the bad part, you know.
And I think that's the biggest reason that I tell my story, is because when I was trying to get sober, there was not many people like me talking about it. And I sort of perceived this rock bottom that an alcoholic would be the person on a park bench drinking out of a paper bag. And because that's not what I look like, I struggled to get help. People kind of brushed it off a little bit, like, you'll be all right, just moderate. And it's like, do you know how much hard work it was for me to come and ask for help, and you're telling me I'm okay? I'm not okay, but okay, fine, whatever. I'll just drink some more. Yeah. But like, actually, there are a lot of women like me that strive for this sort of level of perfection and want to keep everything running, all the plates spinning. You know, I'm this perfect mum, I've got this big job, I've got this, I've got that, I've got the other. But at the end of the night, it's like, do you know what? I can't deal with it all. I need to turn off. And that's why I drank. And there's a lot of people like it. And I think it's really sad that we feel that we have to maintain this facade. And yeah, I think like by sharing my story, I hope that other people realize that there is a way out of it. Because I remember like looking at this house years ago, and it had this beautiful kitchen, and I was like, what's the point in that if I can't drink? If I can't have a bottle of wine in that kitchen, I don't want that kitchen. Right. And that's my mentality. That was, that's how I was. And now it's completely different, but it was a very long road between the 2 points to realize I didn't want it and I didn't need it in my life.
The nice part for you that I see, you don't even know yet. I have 40-year-old twin daughters.
Yeah.
They've never seen me drink or drug.
Yeah.
And one's 17 years clean.
Wow.
She runs a detox unit.
Does she? Oh, wow. Yeah.
When she started drinking and drugging, she was getting on the coke and drinking, having a few drinks and getting on the coke. And her life started to become unmanageable. She realized, like, whoa, this is the shit Dad talked. Yeah. Dad warned me about this. This line of coke and staying up for 3 days is not normal.
Yeah.
This drinking alcohol till I went into blackout, and, because she's a twin, and they'd go to a party together. At 1 o'clock in the morning, one twin would say, I'm going home, I've had enough. The other twin would say, are you serious? I'm just getting warmed up. So, but the nice part is that my children, one still drinks, but she's functional. Yeah. She's a high achiever, runs her own company, has a beautiful son, been the same guy for 23 years. She's 40 years of age.
Mm.
She's with her childhood sweetheart. They've been together 23 years. And
Yeah, it's the same as me and my husband. Yeah.
Really, yeah. And his dad died from active addiction. His dad and I were in rehab together.
Oh, really?
So they've known each other since I was born, basically.
Yeah,
They were
that's
in rehab
nice.
together. Yeah, and she said he was a bit slow. It took him 17 years to ask me out, but that's how old she was when they started dating. You know, we got photos of them in the bath together when he was 6 and she was 4. You know, something like that. You know, so we got these photos of the kids all together.
That's nice.
But that's something that you know that you don't understand. But in retrospect, you look back at your recovery. It's like our disease affects everybody around us, our drinking and our drugging. Yeah. Our recovery does the same.
Yeah.
People effect, like throwing a stone in a lake, and everybody we meet and everybody we touch, we help.
Yeah.
We do.
I think that's a really nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, we have this incredible gift. You've been given a gift now. Once was the gift you got was a gift from freedom from active alcoholism. The next was a gift of self-love. The next gift you got was the ability to share what was so freely given to you. And that's what the therapeutic value of one alcoholic addict talking to each other is without parallel.
Yeah.
Nobody else talk like this.
I think it's great to share it because I think that's part of, I didn't understand myself for so long because I didn't know anyone else like me.
Yeah.
And the minute you start talking to people and you think, well, because I was full of shame, and suddenly I was talking to other women, other mums, other perfectly decent people that were in the same sort of situation as me, and I think, actually, it's not us. It's we're okay. We just need to work our way through this thing, and
we have an affliction. We have people call it disease, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I'm not big on names. I'm big on statistics. What I'm big on is that once I start drinking alcohol, I can no longer guarantee my behavior.
Yeah.
Once too many, 1,000 is never enough. Okay. What's the solution to that? Don't take one.
Yeah.
So how do I not take one? By not picking up the first one. Yeah. It's not rocket science. I get really frustrated. I say to people,
because I know now, even if I had one, I know it wouldn't be one.
No.
And how can you know that? I just do. I know.
In here, you know it.
Yeah.
Our truth is in here.
Yeah. And it's not that I miss it or anything like that, but I just know that there is no point in me having one because I would be right back there, and I'm not going back there.
And there's no guarantee you'll stop.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Yeah. There's no guarantee that you'll get clean. Because I say to people, I went to a funeral last week. That's why we didn't do the podcast. It was a mate of mine that had been struggling with recovery for many years. He got 10 years up and then decided he could drink.
Wow.
And then he had a sneaky shot of heroin, and his 14-year-old son found him dead on the floor.
Oh, no.
Father. You know, it was horrifying. It was horrific.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's awful.
But in the last week, there's another 2 people I know have all died from drug addiction. People don't understand whether it's alcohol or drugs. We kill ourselves one drink at a time, one drug at a time, whether we have a car crash. See, a lot of car crashes, I believe, and this is only my experience, I don't know if you relate to this, but I've been, when I was fully blown into alcoholism and drinking a lot and hating myself, and feeling like a failure, I'd be driving down the highway and I think, I could just run into that pole. I could just run off the road here and kill myself. It's only a minute blinking thought.
Yeah, I think for me, there were ways out that were easier than stopping drinking. And like you, there were worrying moments where things popped into my head that wouldn't normally. Dark old times, really. Like,
you haven't got a drinking problem, you've got a thinking problem.
I've certainly got one of those.
But you'll have that forever. Now you're aware that you have a thinking problem.
Yeah.
The only thinking problem you can't have is that you think you can drink.
Yeah, no, I don't anymore.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's the only one you can't have. The rest you can make mistakes and learn from.
Yeah.
My brain, I haven't had a drink since 1982. I never had a drug since 1986. But my brain still thinks of crime, still thinks of being naughty. Because I was a career criminal. I was brought up as a criminal. My family were criminals. So I go back to my old thoughts. But the nice part about it is I've used all this information to run successful businesses because I'm obsessive, I'm compulsive, I'm thorough, I'm consistent, I'm respectful, and I'm honest. I was the most honest cook in the world. You know, I live by 8 demands, and the 8 demands for me are my whole thing: to be have an open mind, to be open for change, be open to criticism, accept that other people can see me better than I can see myself. You know, be reliable. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm congruent. I don't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I'm thorough. If I'm going to clean this room, I'm going to start at the ceiling. You know, I'm super thorough. I'm crazy. I drive myself nuts. My clothes go from light blue to dark blue to, you know, greys to whites to, my wife goes, oh, you're off. No, God love, I don't know if she puts up with me, you know. And the nice part about it is I'm honest. And the honest part is, for me, is I cannot drink and guarantee my behavior. I cannot drink and be a good husband. I can't drink and be a good dad. So what are the priorities in my life? To be a good human being or to be a human taking? When I'm drinking and drugging, I'm a human taking. I'm not a human being. Everything revolves around ways and means to get more. And full of shame and guilt and remorse. And man, I wake up so grateful today.
I do.
Words on any of my phones or computers. You know, I don't worry about who's going to call me. I don't care who's going to empty the bin. I laugh about the bin because, you know, I know so many people who went and done their own recycling to get rid of all the wine bottles because, you know, they were ashamed, you know, of all that stuff.
Fully. So much shame. And like you said, I'd wake up in the morning and check my phone. Oh my God, what did I say? Who did I text? What funny thing did I post on Facebook? But it was really interesting. The other day after this party where I didn't drink, the next morning, I went to bed feeling fine. The next morning I woke up and it was like I was back there and I was like, oh, what did I do? What did I say? And I was like, don't be so silly. You didn't. It's fine. But it still took me an hour or so to be like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong.
So, have you had drinking dreams yet?
Yeah, a few. Yeah, but
I used to hate them. I used to wake up and drink, you know, dreamt that I drank, and sometimes I'd be like, did I drink or not?
It's awful. Or if I wake up with a headache, I'll be like, oh, is this a hangover?
That feeling of, oh man, you know? So today you still work for yourself, or do you work for another company, or?
No, we have a family business. We work together. It's quite nice. It gives me the flexibility to talk to you this morning. So I've just shut everybody out of my office so I can have a chat, which is nice.
It is nice.
But I think I've embraced the fact that I need a little bit of a slower life. Isn't it? But the job I was in was very stressful, and I probably burnt out a little bit, and now I make time for things that help me that aren't drinking. So, you know, I run. I'm very obsessive because I started doing the Couch to 5K app, and then I started running half marathons, and I'm like, this is silly. Slow down. It's fine. You can just run because you enjoy it. It doesn't have to be a target.
Oh no, it's a race.
It's awful. It's awful. My husband's like, slow. It's fine. You don't have to challenge, but no, I do. I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of wild swimming. I love being in the sea. It doesn't matter whether it's cold or not.
I go in the pool every day. Yeah.
I like it's a natural high, and it brings me back when I'm feeling anxious. It brings me back to myself, whereas before I would have numbed it out.
And all those things need breath.
They do. Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's one of the most important things in recovery, because when we drink or drug, we don't breathe. We hold our breath waiting for the next trauma. We hold our breath waiting for the next excuse. We hold our breath waiting for the next justification.
Yeah, you're right.
We take these shallow breaths, you know, and I say to people all the time, the first thing you do when you're born is you breathe in. The last thing you do when you die is you breathe out. The secret is to keep the rhythm in between.
Yeah.
Because I'll find myself at different points of the day getting a little bit of anxiety. I think, whoa, stop. Breathe. Ground yourself. Where are you? You're right here.
Yeah.
I don't do 10 deep breaths. I can do that in a train. I can do it in a bus. I can do it in the middle of a meeting and no one even knows I'm doing it. And all of a sudden, I have clarity. I'm founded again. I'm now back on my ground because I believe foundation's an incredible thing.
Yeah.
When the wind blows, you've got to have a strong foundation. Otherwise, you blow over.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true.
The wind will always blow. That's life.
Yeah.
It's a cycle of life. We'll always have good and bad times, and you'll have things in your life that you're powerless over that happen. As long as we're aware that it will pass,
yeah,
no matter what. And if we drink, it will only make it worse.
Yeah, I definitely understand that now. So it did take a long time to tie the two things together, but I think that's largely to do with society, isn't it? Telling us that we're the ones that are wrong.
Yeah.
And when you realize we're not, the advertising won't make that celebration better.
Yeah.
Then it's okay. It's just sometimes you feel like a fish swimming against the tide, going the wrong way.
That's why you've got to always bring it just back to ourselves. The only person we can change is ourselves. Our thinking, our actions, and our reactions, and our expectations. Because I don't know about you, but being alcohol free is one of the most beautiful, rewarding gifts I've ever been given.
Yeah, it is.
The ability to be able to feel when my kids jump in the pool, Mom, Dad, Mum, look at this, and they're driving you mad. You got a 6-year-old, I got a 7-year-old, and everything's Dad, look at this, Dad, look at this. I've also got a 4-year-old. I'm 60.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, I've got 40-year-olds and I've got 4-year-old, but I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
The greatest gift I've been given, apart from my recovery, is the ability to be a dad, to be a partner, to be a human being, to be part of.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being productive in my family.
It's being present, isn't it? I think that's, for me, I'm present rather than thinking about how I'm going to get home to get a drink. Yeah. I'm actually here doing whatever I'm doing, whenever I'm doing it. And it's lovely.
I believe that's why you call it the gift, because it is a present.
Yeah,
the present is the gift. We only have today.
Yeah.
We don't know, we can't change yesterday. And we have tomorrow's just a vivid imagination.
Yeah.
I say to people, because I do so much work with people in early recovery, tell me what you're feeling and I'll tell you what you're thinking. Oh, I'm angry. And I say, well, what are you thinking about your past for? What? Yeah. So what are you thinking about your past for? You can't change it. Well, I'm full of fear and anxiety. So are you thinking about your future? Because that's a vivid imagination. Just for the day, are you okay? I go, yeah. So just for the day, you got food in the cupboard? Yeah. Just for the day, you got a roof over your head? Yes. Just for the day, you got someone who loves you? Yeah. Well, what the hell are you worried about?
Yeah.
Bring it back to right here and now, the present.
Yeah.
And being available. We have an incredible life that alcohol was stealing from us, and you've taken it. So all power to you that you've got the mental capacity and the fortitude, because it takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, more so than I thought. It's a hard old road, but a good one that I don't ever regret being on.
I say it all the time. It's the hardest job I've ever had, but it's been the best pay. The rewards are phenomenal. I see it in your face, you're glowing, you're happy, you're content. People ask me sometimes, what do you get out of recovery? And because I'm old, you get wiser with age, thank God. I've traveled the world looking for spirituality. I went to Jerusalem. I've been to all around the world. I went to ashrams in India, and I went to Buddhism, and I read the Quran. I went to the holy city and looked at all the mosques and all the sects and everything in the world. And I found out the thing I'm looking for is inside of me.
Mm.
It's the truth. And that's why it's called the truth about addiction.
Yeah.
Because the truth about addiction is that it robbed me of life. Yeah,
it does. It really does. But you can't see it when you're in it necessarily, can you?
Because it's called denial. The disease of addiction is all about denial. I'm okay. It won't get me. I'm different. And there's so many cities, the way it sneaks up on you. It didn't start with 3 bottles a night.
Oh, no.
Have a
No,
whole
it didn't.
glass.
Yeah.
Being sociable.
Exactly.
My eldest
Exactly.
daughter, she's a twin. She drinks still. She's quite funny. She gets pissed and she says, I put the fun into functional. But she doesn't get pissed every night.
No,
Right?
and I think that's the difference, isn't it?
But, you know, I really take my hat off to the ladies who get clean. Not that there's any difference with sex in that. But you guys, they've got so much more expectation on you and so much more responsibility that us men, because we're the we're the strongest sex bullshit. I watch my wife stay up all night with a sick child, get up in the morning, make breakfast for everybody, put the washing on, hang the washing out, take the kids to school, get back here while I'm at work and I'm doing something on the computer, and I feel like I'm the breadwinner. Are you serious? There's no way. You know, my wife does everything. My wife, she runs the whole company, does all our taxes. She's got, you know, because we have a few companies and she's, you know, I do this because I love doing it. I didn't make any money off the podcast. I don't do the podcast for money. I've knocked back sponsorship. I've knocked back everything because that would lose my reason for doing things. And your motivation is one of the most important things.
I agree with you. I think, and that's why I've written my books and I share my story on Instagram and TikTok and things because I just want people to know there's a way out.
Yeah.
That there is hope. Doesn't matter what society tells you. Actually, life's really good without alcohol. And I feel like I'm going to bang that drum for years, but actually, that if me telling my story helps one person, then it makes it worthwhile, doesn't it? Hopefully it'll help more than that.
And it does. And it does. I had a message. This is only sitting here at dinner with my wife. I got a message. This is a true story. Bang. Don't know this guy. I've never heard of him. Best thing he did was listen to a podcast from the Fallon Show that I came across. Now I listen to your show all the time. So thank you.
Yeah.
I was on another guy's show and this guy heard me. Now he listens to my shows all the time.
It's nice though, isn't it?
I get those all the time, messages from people that I don't know saying, thank you so much for doing what you do, you know. And you know, I've had people say to me, I live out in the remote middle of nowhere and I can only get to listen to your podcast on YouTube and it helps me stay clean, it helps me stay sane, it helps me stay alive. And all that stuff.
Helps you know you're not alone. I think that's my thing. You know you're not the only one. You might feel a bit different sometimes, but actually there's loads of us and it's okay.
And that's why we do this.
Yeah, it's exactly why we do it.
The opposite to addiction is connection.
Yeah.
Because in alcoholism and addiction, we isolate.
Yeah.
The disease of addiction is all about isolation.
Yeah.
Recovery is all about connection.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why, you know, I love the internet now. And, you know, as I said, you know, I'm an older person. All this was new for me, but I grabbed it with both hands because I knew we could reach more people. And I'm so passionate.
I think it's great. I think it's really good. And I think, you know, with lockdown and COVID, it was really unfortunate, but actually what it did was push things online more. And suddenly we've got Zoom meetings and I'm a sober coach as well. So I was suddenly talking to people all over the country and it didn't matter that they couldn't get to a meeting around the corner. Exactly. They could talk to somebody online when they needed to. And I think that matters, doesn't it? Because it's different for everybody. Yeah.
Because for me, I never thought anybody understood.
Yeah.
I never knew there was anyone like me. And I always had that attitude, I'm different, you don't understand. If you'd been through what I'd been through, you'd be doing this too. Yeah. And if I tell you, you'll judge me.
Yeah.
All that unfounded bullshit fear that's not true. Yeah. That's a thing that I treat a lot of people with, because I say this is a thinking disease, not a drinking disease. Our mind, in our mind, the part of our mind that's defective, it's a liar, a thief, and a cheat. If you had someone talk to you the way you've spoke to yourself over the years, you wouldn't let that person live in your house.
No, you wouldn't.
Don't let him live in your head.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's it's so easy to forget, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be as simple as this. Okay, I'm going out to get into the car. I've left the keys on the kitchen table. Ah, you bloody idiot, you've left the keys on the table. No, I'm a busy person. I've got shit going on. I've got kids in my arms. I'm carrying baskets. I'm not an idiot. Because we have to be really careful what we tell ourselves, because that's where the disease starts. You're an idiot. So then it starts putting a dent in our self-worth.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
Alcoholism is a form of self-abuse.
Yeah,
Sounds terrible, but it's true.
it is. It is. You're right, and it's a socially accepted one.
It's no different than slashing up, because you're slashing up emotionally and spiritually. You're self-harming emotionally and spiritually. I'm worthless. I'm useless. My family would be better off without me. I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good mother. I'm not, and it's pour me another drink.
Yeah.
And that's not who you are. You're a beautiful, spiritual human being who's had enough courage to stop their own demons and to confront their own demons, and now to carry a message to other people who still suffer. And I take my hat off to you, and I'm very, very proud to have you on The Truth About Addiction. What books have you written, please? I want you to put some plug for you.
Oh yeah, I have them here. So this is my
Secret.
This is my story.
Cool. I'll get those.
And then I have written a couple of others that are more for helping you along the way. But this is my story.
Oh, beautiful. I'll get that and read it. Yes,
well,
please,
thank you so much for having me on.
I did have a lady called Karen. She's in America. She wrote a book called New Beginnings. It's a little book. It's every day people read it. She sold 7 million copies.
Wow.
She's 60 years over. She's 81 years of age.
Amazing.
So we communicate. We FaceTime each other just to talk. I love her. She's so beautiful. And she stayed clean by doing what you're doing.
I think it gives us accountability as well, doesn't it? It just, it reminds us why.
I still say to this, and this is what I mean with my whole heart, you can only keep what you've got by giving it away. If you remember that and you give more than you take, you'll always have an abundance. Yeah, I think that's very wise. Yeah. Claire Hatwell, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, darling. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Stay in contact. You're more than welcome. Take care. Thank you. Darling.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.